Welcome to Hello Me, It's Me, Vulnerable AF, a podcast hosted by Nikki D. Lovely. That's really just her diary disguised as a podcast, but who cares? You're here for it. Join in as she addresses her self-reflections on life, love, and dating, and gives us all the tea by being more vulnerable than she ever has, with herself and the world. So let's get started in today's episode with Nikki D. Lovely, already in progress.
Welcome to another episode. I am in a weird place today, and so I don't really know where to start or where to begin. I've had a couple of things on my mind. I know I've shared before that I have currently been dating. Oh, you know what? We might as well just go there. I wasn't even sure I wanted to bring it up, but I was like, you know what? It's on your mind, so why not? That's no other reason to talk about things than to talk about things, right? That's the whole point. So I think today's topic is going to be about ghosting. And I think the current definition of ghosting, or at least the definition that most people are kind of aware of, is, when you're talking to somebody and then the other person, well, I mean, you could do it too, but the other person typically is the one kind of goes ghost, or like they just kind of disappear on you. Typically, I feel like it's because in this day and age, a lot of people are kind of afraid of those adult conversations. And I will say that I have been guilty of it myself. Typically, when I have not had too many feelings invested or too many dates invested, I bring up ghosting because the guy that I am talking to at the moment, I have not heard from him. And it's been 3 days now. 3 days since I have not heard from him. And the odd part is when I call his phone, it goes straight to voicemail and the mailbox is full. And so, listen, I can't even say that this is ghosting at this point. What I can say is I'm actually a little concerned. It's not really his MO. Typically, I've been talking to him for at least 3 months now. And he has been very consistent when it comes to communication. I told him I needed everyday communication, and he's been very forthcoming with the everyday communication. So for me to reach out to him and for him to not reach back is kind of concerning. And the reason why I'm concerned is because we do not live in the same spot. He lives in a completely different city, at least a few hours away. And I don't know, it concerns me because I'm not close by. I'm not able to kind of just pop in when I need to. And I think really what this is kind of exposing to me, and I say it's about ghosting, but what is really exposing to me is like my insecurities, right? Like the ghosting part is one factor of it. But that the part of like just not speaking to him is what's triggering these insecurities in me. And the fact that we do live so many hours away from each other is kind of like, so, in this day and age, I hate to say this, but in the dating phase, when you haven't established this clear, like, I'm talking to you and I'm only messing with you, like when you haven't established those clear boundaries, I feel like it's just kind of game on. Like I don't have any right per se to just kind of show up and be like, what's up? And right now, I think not having those boundaries, and this is a place where I said I never wanted to be, and I feel like this is where I am right now, it's kind of scary. It's scary because it's like, well, technically if he wanted to take a 3-day weekend, with someone else, he really could. Now, is that what he's doing? I don't know. And I think that's the other scary part. I don't know. And because we haven't put any clear definition on what we're doing, and, are you my boyfriend? Are you my girlfriend? I told him I was looking for marriage, but we didn't make a clear, established understanding where we both said, I am only talking to you. I feel like in the beginning of the dating phase, we both said we were kind of only talking to each other. But, you know, he had just started dating, and I mean, I have definitely just started dating. You know, like, it's been years since I've dated. But anyway, let's go back to ghosting, because I've kind of gone off on a little tangent on insecurities. Let's just kind of refocus on how ghosting has kind of pushed me into these insecure spot, right? So I shared this story with my girlfriend, where I shared that I was having these insecurities of not being called every day. So, here we go, right back to the same thing, right? And how those insecurities made me question myself versus questioning him. Because I had to ask myself, what is this triggering in me? Because this wasn't new to me. It wasn't just happening with him, right? It's happened to me with most of the people that I've dated that I have any really true interest in. Typically what I'll do is, if you don't contact me, I tell myself, well, I really don't care anymore. I really don't care anyway. And I'll just rush to the next person. It's one of my defense mechanisms. And I'm thankful that I have gotten to the point where I realize that is what's going on, right? However, in this situation, it came back again where my 14-year-old self, you know, the one that had been hurt, this little girl who had been hurt so bad by the ex that I had been with, who used to, you know, do his own thing and just go days without contacting me, is triggering me again. And today I saw that little girl. Like, literally, I saw her in my head. And I have work to do, guys. I'm an adult now. But the 14-year-old in me said, go climb in the bed and grab a pillow and let's listen to, like, slow 90s love songs and just cry ourselves to sleep. Literally, like, I kid you, no question in my mind, no doubt, this 14-year-old girl was trying to get me to leave my adult world and go climb in the bed with her. Me, okay? Go climb in the bed with this past version of myself, basically. I'm speaking metaphorically. And just have a powwow session. And I kid you not, I yelled to myself, I am an adult. I do not have time for that. I have work to do. Now, could I have just jumped into bed and did that? Yeah, of course, I could have. Would that have been beneficial for me? Maybe. I don't know. A good powwow session. A good crying session, I don't think has ever really hurt anybody. But I can say that I did that earlier today. And I let that tension out. I let that part out of me. And I don't want to get into that place where it's like, oh, I'm depressed. So I feel like we have a choice. I have a choice in this matter. I can get all bent out of shape that, oh, boo-hoo, this guy hasn't called me, right? Or I can look on the bright side of things and be grateful for what I do have or what I did have with him. You know, that's just to say that it's ending. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe there's something wrong with him. Maybe he got into an accident. God forbid. That's really what I don't want to happen. But maybe he does have a valid excuse for why he hasn't hit me back up, right? And for me to just immediately take it there and not get any work done, what's that doing for me? What's the worrying doing for me? What's the anxiousness doing? What's the anxiety? I told myself that when I felt that anxiousness, what was I going to do? I was going to take that anxiousness and regroup it into something else. And so that's something else for me right now is doing some work. Now, I haven't got much done today, but I will say I have been rather productive and like at least motivated. So I've seen myself kind of fall a little bit, kind of like thinking about it all day, but then kind of like, all right, Nikki, it's time for you to get your ass up and get some work done because we got shit to do, right? Like, I didn't come out here to sit around here and like boohoo over a guy. I came here to kind of get my life going, to get new perspective on things, to start projects that I have been putting off for years. And me sitting around here boo-hooing with that 14-year-old girl is not helping me do that. She's held me back from so much already, right? So I had to tell her, you know what, little girl? This was what I didn't get. You know what, little girl? I need you to stop crying. I know he hurt your heart, But here's a hug. I love you dearly. Believe me, it's going to be okay. He's not the only man in the world. So if it is that he's ghosting you and he did fall off the face of the earth, so be it. Because, and I don't want to say it in a bad way, but let's say something did happen to him and he passes away, right? Oh, I hate to think about that. Like, that part actually hurts me. But let's just say that happens. At the end of the day, I'm still gonna have to take that love, what I had with him, and be grateful for that, right? There's nothing I can do if he did leave. So you've heard the same people say, well, that person's dead to me. You know, like, in some cases, if he's ghost, he's dead to you anyway. So it's like, you just have to take what you're given and make the most out of it. And for me, it's knowing that, okay, I didn't want the ride to end. I really like being with this man. I really do. Like, I have felt myself fall for this guy in ways that I have forgotten existed. And I think it's a major reason why I've been very protective of my heart to begin with. But I also know what it feels like when you have an open heart. This is what I'm learning these past couple of months in dating, is when you date with an open heart, you start feeling things. And lordy, am I feeling some things, guys? Am I feeling some things? And is it scary that I'm feeling these things? Hell yeah, it's scary. But like I said, I have to be the one to kind of regroup myself. I've been calling my friends. I really do need some more friends. I need some more friends I can tell my business to, because I have 3 really great friends, right? One's married. One has a full-time boyfriend, like a full-time living boyfriend. So you might as well say she's married too. And the other one's married, but she's going through a divorce, and, you know, she has 3 kids and she got her own thing going on, right? She's the one I probably talk to the most, but as a single mom of 3 kids, she has a lot going on. And I'm a single mom of 2. So I definitely understand. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so who do you run to? Who do you talk to when you have nobody to talk to? Now, my brother and I have another guy friend that I kind of talk to every once in a while. Like, but I'm like, maybe God just wants me to sit with this one for myself. Maybe the reason why when I reached out to my friend girl and she just kind of sent me the voicemail, besides the fact that she's busy, maybe it's because God wants me to sit with this for myself and figure this one out by myself. Because I know one of the things that I said beforehand was that I was not going to allow this man to make me anxious. And when I prayed about him earlier, God just kind of told me, like, just to let things be. And it's been so hard for me. Like, I am such a control freak. And this is the reason why I moved to Louisiana. Because I have always felt like I needed to be in control of everything. I need to be in control of my feelings. I need to be in control of my job. I need to be in control of my money. I need to be in control. I just need to. Otherwise, things are going to go to crap, right? If I'm not in control of it, everything's going to go to crap. But living in Louisiana has made me kind of get into that, like, it is what it is. I'm having to figure things out, calm down, and just let things be kind of realization of where I am right now. And if I'm going to be truthful, the first year was a breeze. The first year was a breeze because I had things to do. I was getting my house together. I was trying to figure out how I could bring income in that wasn't too strenuous. It still gave me time with my girls. And, you know, like, there was things to do. I'll put it like that. It was new. It was a new environment, so everything was kind of new and exciting. Now, I've been here almost a year and a half, and I'm not feeling like that anymore. It's kind of like the pressure is on, right? Like, what worked last year, because I had a considerable amount of savings that I was kind of utilizing, versus this year where I still have some savings, but after this year, if I don't get it together, it's going to be gone, you know? And I still don't feel like I've gotten it together. I think that's where that pressure is coming. That's where the fear is coming. Like, how do you still allow things to just be when you know you need to be doing something? When last year God said, just let things be. And, like, just follow my lead and I will take you where you need to go. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting kind of I'm getting kind of scared over here. It's like, wait a second, I'm not in control, and things are like seeming a little bit out of control right now. And it's not so much as it's out of control, it's out of my control. It's out of my control. It's not out of control, it's just out of my control. And yes, there are some things that we can do in order to make sure that we're good. You know, like there are some things that we do have to put the work in to make sure that we're good. And that stuff, I have no problem doing. You know, as long as I can do what I want to do, how I want to do it, then I'm fine. But when I have to start doing things like waiting for phone calls and like trying to see how he feels about me and like playing the waiting game, I don't like waiting. That's probably another reason I haven't been in a relationship in so long. I don't like waiting. I don't like waiting for you to figure out what your feelings are. I don't like trying to figure out what my feelings are. And in this moment when I kind of feel like I know what my feelings are, but then I don't know what your feelings are, and we're playing this game, oh, Lord. Lord. What do we do in those situations, right? Like, how do we come out of those? How do we calm our restless hearts? Because that's where I am right now, trying to figure out how to calm my restless heart in the midst of trying to figure out, what am I going to do next? Am I moving? Am I not moving? If I am moving, where am I moving to? I know I can't stay here. I know I don't want to be here another year. I didn't want to be here another 6 months, to be honest. But, you know, they went up on my rent $400 a month unless I signed another lease. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll just sign another lease. Like, I didn't have any place else to go. I didn't know where I wanted to go. And just the thought of like moving just felt so daunting to me. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll give myself another year. And I had just started talking to somebody, and I was like, well, maybe I'll give myself another year, and then we'll figure out where that goes. But then I keep hearing, like, that's the dumb thing to do. Like, I don't want to say put all your eggs in one basket, but they always say don't make decisions based off of, like, your romantic interest at the time. And so then that scares me too, because I'm like, well, then what do I do? Because if I'm not invested in this, and I do decide I wanted to leave, or I'm going into a different place than where he is, how do we make that work? I guess you just make it work, right? I guess you just make the decision that you're gonna make things work. That's what love is anyway, right? Every day choosing each other. Every day saying, I'm making the decision to do this with you. And I think because we haven't had that conversation yet. We haven't had that conversation of, am I going to wake up every day and do this with you? Like, I know that sounds like marriage to me, but I feel like in this, like where I'm at in my life, like that's what I'm looking for. So like some people like, cool, like, are we going to do this every day? We're going to do boyfriend, girlfriend, then we're going to get married. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine for you. And I'm not trying to like force anybody to hurry up and marry me, but at the same time, I know what I want. Like I don't have time to be sitting around here playing anymore. Like, I'm ready. And I'm not as ready as I think I am, because I'm learning a lot about myself in this new phase of dating with my heart open and being truthful with everything in my life, right? And I would love to even share more about my life in another podcast, because there's so much more that I have yet to share, that I'm trying to be a little bit more vulnerable and open, even with myself. Because the funny part is, there are a lot of people around me. When I was on PS4, like I had a ton of followers who didn't know anything about my personal life, because I kept that part away from them. And then in going into therapy, I realized, oh, there's a lot of stuff I kept away from myself. It wasn't that I was just keeping it from them. I didn't want to go back there. I didn't want to go back to like that dark place. My past relationships, and there's mainly one big one that kind of catapulted all the bad ones, right? But that main one was such a huge, significant trauma for me that I just really went into myself. And my therapist says it's because I would not have been able to function had I not buried that part of me, right, into myself. I would not have been able to be a functioning depressed person, because I was depressed for years, but a functioning depressed. Nobody would look at me and say, oh, you're depressed, which is why I feel like, since it is a mental health thing, there's so many people who like, you see them smiling one day and then the next day you realize that they may have committed suicide or something along those lines or tried to take their lives. Because so many times it's the strong ones. It's the ones that's putting on a brave face. It's the ones that's trying to make everybody else laugh because we know what it feels like to not have anybody. We know what it feels like to not laugh or not be able to laugh at yourself, or, man, like if you really sat with yourself, you're like, dang, no one knows I'm in this space. And I think that's the other scary part about being in that place and not wanting to go back to the place that got you there, right? Because no one wants to go back there. Like, even me, I'm like shedding some tears right now because I remember going back there. I remember what that felt like. I remember smiling and laughing and cracking jokes and making funny videos and no one knowing how hurt I was. I remember I used to stream. A lot of people would like make these comments on the side and be like, oh, you're miserable, or, they would make those type of comments. But because I was so shielded during that time, because we shield our hearts. Because I was so shielded, I'm like, oh, dude, you know what you're talking about, but it probably did sting somewhere in there, because somewhere in there was some truth to it. And, kudos to that person who's like, you suck, because I can tell you're depressed, or you're a loser, like those type of things, those things that we tell ourselves already. Shout out to that person, because I'm sure he felt the exact same way within himself, which is why he could see it within me, right? And I'm being sarcastic. Be nice. Be kind to others, because you never know what people are going through. I mean, had I been one of those people who had thought to commit suicide, which, I've had those thoughts before too, which I'll save for another time, but I've had those thoughts. But had I been one of those people who had decided to act on it, you don't know whose mother you're taking away, whose daughter, whose friend you're taking away when you're saying those things to people. And a lot of times, people think they're just on a screen and they can say what they want to say. And they don't care because their lives are miserable themselves too. But anyway, I digress. I did want to just come on here and just take a moment to just address that 14-year-old girl right quick that wanted me to be in this depressed state. And who wanted me to take me back to that place. And to just lay in the bed. And to cry it out. I want to say to her, actually, thank you. Because in some moments, I feel like those type of situations are needed. That we do need to release our emotions. And if I had the time, I would probably say, hell yeah, I'll go get in a bed with you and kind of like cuddle a pillow. But there would need to be a time limit. Like, I would need to say, like, I'm going to do this for an hour. And then I'm going to get up and I'm going to go get ice cream. I'm going to shower and I'm going to do what I need to do. Like, I feel like that type of stuff is okay as long as you don't allow yourself to wallow in that self-pity, right? So there was nothing wrong to my 14-year-old self. There was nothing wrong with you asking me to do that. But I did it earlier and only gave myself an hour. So I don't have time to do it all day, okay? So if you too find yourself in that same situation where you have like those inner thoughts, it's like you should be in bed right now and you should be, eating your ice cream and getting your tissues and listening to this music and thinking about your entire life. I mean, maybe you could do that. Give yourself a time limit. And then I say pray, meditate, make a list of other things you could be doing. Take that energy and transform it into something else. Talk to a friend. Write a poem. Do a podcast. I don't know. I tell you that all the time. You just never know who you could be helping by sharing your story. And it's me, just talking to me. And, whoever you are. And I hope that maybe this could possibly help. And if it doesn't, you know what? Guess what? It helped me. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Make sure you go check out my book, No F-Boys Allowed, if you're dealing with a situation where you're talking to someone right now who isn't the best for you. It helps you try to figure out who is the best for you, some of the self-work you could be doing to get to making yourself in a better place. And that's really all I want for everyone. That's really all I wanted for myself, for my 14-year-old self as well. So with that, I'd like to thank you again, once again, or if it's your first time joining me, thank you for listening. And if it's your second time or third, or, you're one of my regulars that comes back every week, I appreciate you so much. And yeah, that's really all I've got to say about that for today. I love you.
Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hello Me, It's Me with Nikki D. Lovely. Just remember, you can't change who you were yesterday, but you can always learn and grow to become a better version of yourself today. So make sure you do the mental work today for the future you tomorrow, and I will see you next week. And in the meantime, make sure that you check me out on my Instagram at Nikki D. Lovely or _broke_mama. You can also find me at nikkidlovely.com and check out my book, No F Boys Allowed. I also have a poetry book coming out pretty soon, so just a little shameless plug. But either way, I will see you guys next time, and thanks again.